Good evening, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Sports Extra, another very special edition of the show tonight. We're going to be talking about another successful international squash tournament that concluded successfully at the Musaf Squash Complex in Islamabad. And what a galore we got to witness again. We had so many international players. The Pakistan Air Force has once again been very kind enough to showcase such a great tournament under their auspices, hands in hand with the Pakistan Squash Federation. In the men's event, we had an all-Pakistan final where we had Tayyib Aslam facing Farhan Mehboob. Of course, Tayyib beating Farhan 3-0 and clinching the men's title, while on the women's side, we had Miss Sabrina Soufe of the USA, who defeated her Egyptian opponent, Hana Muathaz, in the final, and she clinched the women's title as well. Well, this was another, a great tournament that you could witness with international squash players coming in Pakistan, and we're improving this as every year passes again, so it's a great initiative to talk about. After that, in the second half of the show, we're going to be discussing Pakistan up against Sri Lanka in the second and final test match at the National Stadium in Karachi. Of course, Pakistan is in all heaves of trouble, and we'll be discussing the decision to win the toss and bat first again. Time now to introduce our very, very special guest in studio with an exclusive. We've been joined by Air Vice Marshal Aamir Masood, Senior Vice President of the Pakistan Squash Federation. Sir, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Sports Extra.
Thank you very much.
Sir, thank you for your time. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you and the Pakistan Squash Federation, the Pakistan Air Force as well, on yet another successful tournament. Sir, once again, international players in Pakistan, how's that been?
Indeed, I think it's a great sight to see so many players playing at our squash courts, and many of our young players getting exposure to not only see them but also play with them. So I think this is a good omen, and we have seen the matches coming back to Pakistan international events from last 2 to 3 years. And I personally feel, and I'm very confident, because about 2 months back I went for a World Squash Federation meeting at Cape Town, and there we were able to plead our case and give this sort of clarification to them that the things have really changed as far as the security is concerned. So that is where we have to see that once they are placing us at a very high place in the risk index, they have to reassess their security indexes, and for which they very positively responded. And my basic endeavor was twofold, that first to, make them aware of the fact that the security situation has really changed in Pakistan, and it's very much fit to host any sort of world events. And second was that the World Federation should also take some sort of ownership of bringing those players to Pakistan, because we have been starved of this very sport, which has been our legacy for almost 30 to 35 years. We have ruled the squash, but somehow the other in between there was a gap, and that legacy have faded out. So the good thing was that the leadership of the World Squash Federation very positively responded, and they gave me a sort of confidence that they don't foresee any reason not to have World Championship over there. And the first indicator was that about 2 weeks back we got the bid, and we were told to bid for 2022 World Junior. That's a very positive sign.
Very wonderful.
Because seeing the history, from last about 10-15 years, we have not even been able to, or they have not even entertained our bid. So this is the first sign that they are positive, and they feel that Pakistan's security situation is quite under control, and it's very low in the risk index. And I'm quite confident that in the year to come, 2020, we are not going to host more major tournaments, international tournaments. We are going to raise the prize money, and I feel that we are going to bring the world tournaments also back home.
Inshallah. So you talked about the legacy that we've enjoyed, and we've had some amazing heroes for squash in Pakistan. Over the years after that, some dark times we can say, but the sun of course came out, and now we're in all the glory once again. How do you see the couple of years, sir, for Pakistan Squash Federation? We've been having so many international tournaments. Our juniors especially have been performing very well at the same time as well. And we always talk about investing in grassroots levels, and we've been able to achieve that.
Look, the fact is that the 2-3 things happened all of a sudden, and they happened very, they happened together. and they were the reasons that we had been deprived of so much of good squash. Our youngsters, almost a generation has gone past, which have not been exposed to very good squash. And the reason was, of course, one was the security and the environments which were existing inside the country, and many foreigners were reluctant to come here. And some or the other, the media projection international was also such that we were not given a very positive image. And thirdly, some or the other, we also were not able to concentrate that much once that downward slide was coming in.
On the game itself.
On the game itself, as well as our senior players and our legends even were not able to give that much of ownership and concentration to this game and pass it on to our younger generation in a way which should have been seamless. And these were a couple of reasons that we were not able to really pull back and come back onto this game. While if you see the history of Egypt, they have also been in the top in 50s and early 60s also.
Yes, sir.
And then they bounce back again now. So this is also one of the things, I was able to see and talk to the Egyptian authorities and the Malaysians and also the United States and the UK guys. The interesting thing is that the Egyptians have a very realistic model, and the way they have groomed their players and have built up their academies. Presently, they have a pool of almost 55 to 60,000 youngsters playing squash.
Right, sir.
So they are ruling not only in the senior category, but also in the junior category.
In the junior category. They're an example for everybody to see. Sir, I'll come back to that very quickly. My apologies, I'll just have to go towards a short break. Stay tuned, we'll be right back with more details on this and absolutely how the Egyptian model is succeeding in producing some of the fine players that you've seen in squash right now. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Sports Extra. Now we're in conversation with Air Vice Marshal Aamir Masood, Senior Vice President of the Pakistan Squash Federation. Sir, before the break we were talking about the Egyptian model, and I must say this because I've been able to witness their players in courts, that not their men's side or even their female side has a lot of competition and a lot of skill involved in them as well.
So you saw the game today and you saw their fitness, and you can compare it with our players, both their men and female, you can see the difference, and they've worked out. They've worked in last 20 years almost, and that is the reason that they have reached these standards. And so I was talking about the Egyptian model, which I discussed with their president, back during the World Squash Federation meet. Primarily, they have concentrated on the middle class. They have picked up the kids, both male and female, from the schools, and that is where they have not let them stop their education, so that that person continues with the system of education which they are in, and their academies are very robust. They are following their standards, and the academies are now spread all across Egypt. So they are picking up the kids right from age 8 or 9, and they are taking them for school education, college education, and even university education, and they're giving them incentives at every stage as far as their fee is concerned. And they are ensuring that good players and the top players also get admission in the Ivy League universities, which the American universities are offering squash scholarship, sports scholarship to the students, And that has been happening from last almost 40 years, that these universities are offering squash scholarship. And there have been many students which have gone from good institutions in Pakistan. I remember people going from HSN also for squash scholarship, and being a part of very good institutions. So this is the model which I intend to replicate the Pakistan Squash Federation under the leadership of our president, Air Chief Marshal Mujahid Anwar Khan, who's our Chief of Air Staff. He's the Patron-in-Chief also, and he very much, buys this argument that we have to build up the mental robustness also. We don't have to let him leave his education. We have to pick up the kids from institutions like our own Fizaiya chain of schools, and we will start giving them scholarship at a very early stage. We'll give them rebate on their fee structure depending upon their performance, and we will give them opportunities to play squash, environments and opportunities. And we will also give them rackets, and we will let every kid in those institutions, regardless of his status, be exposed to the squash. And inshallah, I'm quite confident, from these same schools and colleges, we have the talent, and it is the same Pakistan which has proved, for 35 years to be the rulers in squash, world squash. And I foresee no reason that in next 5 to 7 years we have our top players in both, men and women.
And women, inshallah. Inshallah. So the main difference that we see in Pakistan in various sports, now in squash as well, and internationally, the standards that are being maintained is the fitness levels that are being maintained throughout the world and what we have here. This is a dilemma that we tend to, as generally as a nation, we're not that focused on fitness where we should be. So what would you say about that and your personal opinion and your thought on the fitness of our players?
You're absolutely right. I think you have hit the nail on the head that this is a game of total physical fitness, and because I myself have played this game, and I understand that, the technique comes second. If you're not physically fit, after second or third game, if you're good in technique, that also fades away, because you're so much, you're breathless that you're not able to maintain and able to hold your feet. So the physical fitness is the primary reason, and the primary, I would say, the prerequisite for the person to enter the world arena of squash. For that, I would say that is our priority. Priority number one, we have given them exposure of the gym. We are going to be very much particular and disciplined and strict on ensuring that the players go through a program of physical fitness at least 2 to 3 months before any of the major championship, international, world, or any other. So this is what we are going to ensure, and we are giving them incentives. We are giving them those environments of gymnasium and all other things, and also making sure that we have good coaches, good physical trainers also, who are able to, give them complete program of the physical fitness as far as their diets are concerned.
International standards, sir.
Exactly. And that is what we are looking for. And I will personally be also involved in this program of physical fitness, because that is a difference which was very much visible during this international tournament also. You have seen yourself,
yes,
both male and female players, they were standing out. All the Egyptian players and the players from US, UK, Sweden, etc., you could see their physical fitness.
Koreans even, sir.
Even the Koreans,
terrified.
Yeah, they were running like anything, and that is where the difference is actually. The only luck factor for us was that our players who were able to reach the finals were very good in technique, and they were senior also enough, and they have maybe had more exposure to the guys who were there. So the person who has to reach the top, if you yourself must have studied the legacy of, you have seen how Jahangir and Jansher came to the top. Jahangir, I have been talking to him very regularly. He said that if he had to play 5 games, he used to practice for 10 games.
10 games, yes, sir.
So that he is able to hold his breath for 5 games continuously, which he used to. If he was given a target of 8 miles by his coach, he used to run 10 miles. So that should be the spirit. That intrinsic motivation is very essential for a person to reach the top. It's a very individual game, squash, and you can take the horse to the, pond, but you cannot force him to drink water. So the individuals have to really burn the midnight oil. They have to give themselves targets more than what is given by their coaches, what is given by their trainer. They should themselves, ask that we should come and we should be given more exposure, we should be given more training, we should be given more time for physical fitness. तो वो जो उर्दू में कहते हैं ना कि हम तो मायल बकरम हैं, कोई साहिल ही नहीं. It is the fact actually, we have been running after the players We actually give them a lot of incentive. We ask them to be disciplined in their academies, and that's
discipline,
not really there,
is there,
So
yes.
that is what we are looking for. We are going to be very much assertive, very
Right.
strict on this particular aspect of ensuring that we are able to create a culture of physical fitness. And that is where I am quite confident if that does happen, it's going to make the difference in coming years.
Inshallah, we sincerely hope so, sir, because as a nation, I think we need to develop this culture as a daily routine, not just treat it for sports. Definitely. Now, sir, I must commend you and Pakistan Air Force, the Pakistan Squash Federation itself as well, that the amount of investment now we're seeing on the grassroots levels is something phenomenal. And every sport has its future from these young buds that are there. What can you tell us, sir? Because we know that a big tournament for them is coming up very soon as well, and we're going to see, and we hope that we see a lot of international achievements again as well.
Well, I'm very positive. I personally think, and I'm very confident also, once I see the youngsters, somehow or the other, it is in their DNA. And they know that if they are able to, work hard, they are going to reach the top. Especially I'm talking about the youngsters under 19, under 17, under 15. We have got good boys. We have the boys, we have the talent who have done very well during the Asian Games also, SAF Games also. And as you know that the British Open is coming in January. And I personally feel that these players, we have already started their academy training.
Yes,
and they're coming very regularly. I have been monitoring their game very well. They have played very well, even in this men's international final also. One of them reached the quarterfinal,
yes, sir,
who was able to perform very well. So I don't foresee any reason that out of them, at least, under 15 and under 17, we are not being able to build gold or silver. I personally, I'm quite confident that we will have, inshallah, one of the gold either in under 17 or under 15. And we are working hard on them. If they are able to do that, we have given them incentive also, and that will be a big boost for the coming years for the squash, especially for the kids who are going to be following them. And this is one of the reasons that we are also looking for an Asian Open in 2021.
Right, sir.
And also in 2022, as I have mentioned, that we are going to bid for
The
World
Championships.
Junior.
Yes, sir.
So if these exposures are there, apart from that, we also are making a plan so that we are able to train these guys and give them more exposure both inland and abroad, and give them exposure to good coaches. So for that, we are making a strategy, Pakistan Air Force and Pakistan Squash Federation, that we should be able to give them maximum exposure. And I personally think that within next couple of months that MOU will be signed. And we, plus in the next year, we're also planning another 4 to 5 international events in Pakistan.
Inshallah, sir.
And that will be both junior as well as senior. So important thing is that, where Pakistan Air Force is working very hard, its leadership is contributing so much. We also expect more sponsors to come. More, the media is incredibly, giving us a lot of coverage. They have helped us in this tournament, and we personally feel that in the coming tournaments also they're going to give us a lot of support. And similarly, we want, from the national, both government and non-government organizations to support squash and bring back that legacy so that we are able to produce tomorrow's Jansher and Jahangir Khans.
Inshallah. So public-private partnership has got
That's
to
very
be there
important.
for every
Exactly.
and definitely that is the way forward. So thank you very much for your time. It's
you
been
very
an honor having you on the show and learning about all of these. I think the two good news that you gave us, inshallah, about the World Junior Championships and of course the Asians that you're hoping for, I think they will definitely change the outlook of squash in Pakistan, inshallah. So thank you very much. Congratulations once again on all the success that you've been achieving.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
I
much.
appreciate it.
Thank you. We're going to go towards a short break. You've heard from Sir Masood as well about the entire spectrum and the hard work that is being put in by him and their team as well. And we sincerely hope that there are great times for Pakistan squash in the near future as well. And we're going to wish them the best of luck. We'll go towards a short break. When we come back, we'll have the cricket segment in detail. Stay tuned to Sports Extra. Welcome back to Sports Extra with me, Ahmad Nawaz. Time now to discuss cricket. Of course, Pakistan up against Sri Lanka, the second and the final test match at the National Stadium in Karachi. After historic scenes at Rawalpindi, we've moved to Karachi now, where Pakistan were in all heaves of trouble. It was an absolute belter of a wicket that we saw today. We saw some great pace bowling by the Sri Lankan. Pakistan, after winning the toss, elected to bat first. And the way they lost their top two was absolutely surprising for me. Shan Masood gone for just a couple of runs. The captain Azhar Ali went out without scoring. Of course, Abid Ali tried a bit of, you can say, recovery job with his 30-plus runs. But then, of course, he was trapped leg before wicket as well. Babar Azam, Asad Shafiq tried their level best at the same time, but it was never to be. Pakistan all out under 200 runs. Obviously, on this very first day, they were all out on 191. But the good thing was that they got a couple of wickets before the day's play ended. Sri Lanka at stumps was 64 for 3. So Pakistan still have a chance to make a comeback in this game, which I thought was favouring bowling conditions. Now, the question did arise that why did they opt to bat first on this kind of a track when there was a little bit of moisture? It was a new morning. The new ball would have swung a bit as well. But you can never say. This might have turned the other way as well for Pakistan. Questions being raised, criticism being thrown. A lot of stuff is happening on your screens. You can see the fall of wickets. My question and my criticism is going to be straight head-on towards the head coach, Misbah-ul-Haq. Once again, we saw Pakistani batsmen, major of them, failing to get to double figures. How can you not have Fawad Alam in this playing 11 once he's in your squad as well? We've been debating about this in so long. I think this is going to open up an even bigger Pandora box for Pakistan Cricket Board, for the management, for the head coach, chief selector, and I don't know, God knows how many positions he's carrying, Misbah-ul-Haq as well. But there are a lot of questions being answered. It's unfortunate because Misbah's been such a successful captain. Now he's trying to implement that, being a coach as well. We sincerely hope that he's successful. We want the best for Pakistan cricket, but I guess a lot of questions need to be answered as well. Technical flaws are being seen in our batsmen. Those need to be answered as well. But we still have 4 days of play. We're going to be positive. We're going to be hopeful because international test cricket has returned to Pakistan and time will tell what the results are. We're going to leave it at that from me and the entire team until our next show. It's goodbye for now.
Well, the captain's gone.